U.S. crude oil prices have jumped 3% following the halt in Libya's production and a recent Israel-Hezbollah attacks. So how are these geopolitical events impacting the energy market, and what could be the long-term effects?
I'm going to do the 50 Cent. I'm going to stay out of international affairs. Thank you, Mr. Curtis Jackson. I'm not smart enough to even know about these geopolitical issues, but I do know oil does go up in times of conflict. These issues in the Middle East have been there forever, and whenever there is unrest in the Middle East, right, oil tends to go up. So from a technician standpoint, I totally get it, but I am not Fitz from Scandal. So.
All right. I'll give you the notes. All right. So today,
steering clear.
I'll give you the notes on what's being reported. So Monday, obviously today, the oil production and exports in Libya are going to be shut down amid dispute from the internationally recognized Western government in Tripoli over who should lead the central bank inside the country.
The who?
The central bank. So they're trying to figure out who's on the central bank.
That's another. The third topic 50 brought up.
We stay out of that, right? But here's what it does mean, right? So Libya produces about 1.2 million barrels per day, with more than 1 million barrels where they exported to global markets, right? Yeah. So everything that they're taking, they're putting out. So if there's a shutdown, what does that mean for the rest of the global economy when it comes to oil?
Yeah.
That means that U.S. exports now may rise, which means that the price for those barrels now may rise.
A little bit more pricier. Yeah.
Right. So now, you know what I mean? Because you're talking about an area, obviously in the Middle East and Northern Africa, and they're shipping that all through that region. Mm-hmm. If you can't get it from that supplier, who do you go to? You're starting to look for other international exporters. Yeah. So the price per barrel may go up. So that's when we see it. They talk about this sector rotation outside of tech into energy. Yeah. Well, geopolitical situations like this and factors like this show you as to why that could happen.
And the funny part about sector rotation, they always say when they're rotating out, but then they'll post Nancy Pelosi trades when she's rotating in. Like, why don't you tell us to rotate in? Please? If you want to know how to do so, go to ianinvest.com and I'll help you rotate into the market at the right time.
So, okay. So amongst active stocks, Boeing, Nvidia, PDD, Supermicro, Solar Edge. So which one of these do analysts believe have the greatest potential to move higher, and why?
Kudos to everyone at Boeing. I won't have any negative commentary on you this week. I appreciate you and love you dearly. I think Nvidia and Supermicro are the two obvious winners in these. Right. I know some people are getting a little bit more optimistic about Boeing. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure as to the catalyst is why. I'm in my PR bag today, right? But Nvidia and Supermicro seem to be the two clear winners in this space. Even Nvidia pulling back a little bit. I'm like, historic. If Jordan scores 37 against Milwaukee, like, is it over for him? Are we at the point where if like LeBron gets 29 points, like he's no longer the prodigal son?
Yeah. It's like Jordan scoring 12 in a game, and they're like, well, maybe he's falling off.
Not a good investment. Okay.
Yeah. Next game he drops 54.
Wednesday and Thursday, the sentiment will be dramatically different. Nvidia, Supermicro, you guys would be good. Hold for the long term. Yeah. Those are the two out of this pile that I like.
Yeah, I mean, other ones, if you even look at Boeing on the year, and just looking at technicals, it's down 30%. Yeah. Right? PDD, the Chinese online retailer, is down 24%. Even Supermicro is down 20%. Yeah. At one point, Nvidia pulled back 20%. Yeah. But since that point, it's climbed 30%. Mm-hmm. And so if we're talking about which one, I mean, it's obvious because it's only going to help the entire market, but it definitely helps to semi-space. Yeah. Whether it's Broadcom, whether it's Supermicro, even AMD, we've seen some movement. So many companies will be relying on what happens because, again, it speaks to growth in the economy, and the growth in this economy right now is predicated on the movement in AI.
Listen, I know I said I don't think we'll get any cuts, but if the Fed chair doesn't do it, we go. Listen, Intel went through a deep correction. Boeing, a great institution in America, is going through one. There's some other companies that are going through like price corrections that no one is talking about. And the Max 7 isn't as magnificent as it used to be. So if we have everything relied upon one company, I think that may be a little bit troubling.
Who leaves the Max 7? Who do you think leaves it?
It got to be Tesla.
It's Tesla? I love what Damon John was saying yesterday about Amazon.
What'd he say?
He was, they were asking what company, and he was like, most people would tell you Nvidia, most people tell you, but he's like, I like companies that disrupt multiple industries.
So disrupt
healthcare, right?
Yes.
They come into the food space, they disrupt that.
Yes.
And they already have e-commerce.
Yes.
So, and if they have that track record of disruption, they're liable to do it in another industry again.
Yeah.
And so he was like, that's a company that I love.
Amazon's a soft conglomerate.
Yeah.
People don't look at it that way, but that PillPack acquisition, Credible, Ring, Whole Foods, so yeah, it's one of my favorite picks. I know Nvidia is sexier right now, but I think people forget if you want steady gains, they've out-delivered what indexes will do by far.
Yeah. The only knock on Nvidia, and it's a slight knock, is the cost worth the spend? We don't know the return yet on what this AI will do. We can predict it, and it feels very obvious from a fundamental standpoint of what it can do, functionality, obviously from cost standpoint of not having people actually working and having AI taking the place of some of these positions. But we just don't know how expensive and if it's worth the cost yet.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute. As far as that was one of the highlights of the last couple of months is when you called Nvidia.
Yeah.
Walk us through that, walk us through that whole journey of actually calling that price.
Yeah, I did the same with Bitcoin.
It's true.
So the funny part is when you study a craft every day, you'll start to see mispricing and things. So when here's my rule of thumb: whenever the mainstream begins to talk about a stock, the run is pretty much over. That's why even if they do a split, you'll see all the rise before the split, and then we'll have a pullback. So just studying, because I've been on probably since 2017, 2018. I remember when AMD was kicking their ass, by far.
Mm-hmm.
And then they shifted directions in business. But there's only a certain percentage any stock can go up over a 3 or 4 year period of time. There hasn't been any stock that's went up 13x in a 5-year period that didn't pull back, or they didn't go up 700%. They didn't have a deep correction.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're just breaking mathematical laws. So the true, a great lesson to learn is to know what the true value price of a stock is. Homework assignment for the night is what the average should be. And if you use the Fibonacci retracements over a 5-year period, you should know between the 50 and the 78 is where the stock should hover. It's like a median. But once the stock goes up 4 or 5x, you're basically betting they can go up another 4 or 5x. Right. I'm always going to take the inverse of that and then want to buy more at that price. Even when Rolexes were going crazy, 2-3 years ago, those prices have come back down. Mm-hmm. So now if we have geopolitical issues and the biggest companies in the world are spending less in certain areas and they're correcting, then every other company on earth has to correct as well. And it's a little bit troubling that Nvidia only has 9 big clients. Now, if they added 10 more, then you can have growth of maybe 2 or 3x more. But when it's the Mag 7 is buying from them,
right? Do you need those?
But not Deloitte or Accenture yet, or Bank of America yet. Why haven't they added that for the compute? Goldman hasn't done it. The stock exchange hasn't bought from them yet.
Yeah.
So
this is true. I mean, and what you're saying, even that last point is why when people said why AMD,
and
it was that point, right? Because their clientele is the large client.
Yeah,
the GPUs are very expensive.
Incredibly.
And so somebody can come in and say, all right, you've got that clientele, but there's thousands of other businesses that still need to perform at a high functioning. If I can get to a price point that makes sense for your business, I have now a clientele.
Yeah.
Today, Nvidia announced something incredible, right? Because there was obviously tension between U.S. and China relations, and they weren't allowed to sell the super chips.
Yeah.
They now decide to say, okay, well, we're going to make a chip specifically that meets the mandate so that they can now sell in China, which is now, you figure, they don't lose that market.
Yeah.
Rather than saying, all right, we can't sell the H1, right? We can now make a product specifically for you that we can sell.
But should they be able to do that if we're at war? See, it's crazy to sell light blue magic.
What 50 say when he came to the front of the stage?
Yeah.
I don't have to like you.
Yeah.
We just got to do business.
Jensen, get that money. I imagine.
He gonna find a way.
Yeah, sure. Find a way.
Well, I wanted to talk about that because once again, that kind of goes into Stock Club, right?
Gotcha.
And so if you're just joining a legendary Stock Club, after InvestFest, we've done this for 3 years in a row. So 48-hour Stock Club sale, 50% off.
Yes.
And it makes a big difference if you can catch Nvidia at $100 as opposed to where it is now, $126. And that's just a 2-week difference, right? But that could equal thousands, hundreds of thousands, depending on how much money you put in and what you're doing, whether you're investing, whether you're just doing options, or whether you're trading, whatever. And that's the competitive advantage. Because you could just, if you put money in at 126, you're still going to make money if you hold it long term. But if you put money in at 100, like I said, depending on the type of leverage that you're going to be using,
or 95
position, then it could be a tremendous difference, right? So, putting the wings on your back, it accelerates it. It accelerates the growth. You still can go, but when you have that motor pack, you're gonna fly faster.
Yes, and make way more money.
Last Stock Club sale of the year.
Yes.
It's the last one of 2024. 50% off. IanInvest.com.
Yes.
Post InvestFest sale. See you on the other side.
Prices go up in September. So
be mindful. Are they going to be this price ever again?
No, we're going at least 15.
At least
15. Oh, and for the rest of you, tweet and deleters. Listen, I know some of you may not like the traction that I've gained over the past few years.
Talk to them.
I don't like no one can tell where the market is going to go. If I'm on a retail side and I built this crystal ball, you think all the machine learning that's went into Goldman or Vanguard or BlackRock. It's the first time in history I got pushback for saying BlackRock and Vanguard run the market. I'm like,
I got some pushback for you, man.
I said,
they said he talks about VOO a lot.
I'm
you know who I heard it from.
With that being said, I'm sorry. We got to put me in a group chat.
I got you.
But my thing is, like, I get tired of people who were in the space before this show came about telling people you can't know where the market is going to go. And I've proven that shit wrong. And if that's the case, why not you educate the people? I was independently, financially free before the world caught on to who I was. I'm not a pundit. I made myself free first and then freed millions. Y'all heard that fucking reaction on stage. Who else got that? So, opposed to criticizing me, why not create some millionaires? I made you money, please put. And you ain't the only one who be on the phone with no billionaires. And one day we're going to have a net worth conversation. One day. I've been ready, but one day. Y'all see I've been glowing. That's peaceful, relaxed, chill, boy. So help more than you criticize. And I appreciate you trying to protect me from the ills of the SEC. Kudos to the SEC. But I've proven alone you can predict where the market is going to go.
Indeed, my brother. Indeed.